Bonjour. Good morning. It is a great joy and privilege to be here this morning, and I am very grateful for your bishop's welcome in this place and for the hospitality of your dean and vestry and this cathedral congregation. I bring you greetings from Episcopalians across this church, from Episcopalians in Taiwan and Micronesia, in Honduras, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the rest of the United States, and from Episcopalians in Austria and Belgium, in other parts of France, in Germany, Italy, and Switzerland. They pray for you. I would ask your prayers for them. Bishop Whalen and I came last night from a meeting with the Old Catholics in Utrecht. And as we took the train down here, in those vast green fields in the green heart of Holland, we saw large numbers of sheep. We saw them along the sides of the highways and in pasture after pasture in the countryside. They are certainly the source of excellent lamb and chev. They are also certainly far healthier and more robust than the sheep that Jesus spoke about. Surprisingly, we didn't see any sheep in Belgium or France. Those fields are certainly lush, but they're devoted to row crops and grain or pasture for cows. In ancient Palestine, sheep certainly did not have access to those lush green pastures or to the good veterinary care that they get in modern agricultural operations. Now, I can tell you that as a former goat herd, that sheep are not very bright. Goats have a bad reputation in the ancient world because they can get through fences and out of almost any kind of enclosure. Sheep are much easier to manage, but they can just as easily be led astray as into healthy pasture. Those who would lead the sheep astray, says Jesus, are thieves and bandits, and they don't bother to use the gate or the door into that corral where the sheep sleep at night. The wolves, or the predators who jump over the fence, are mischief makers. In the ancient world, they couldn't get through the door because any decent shepherd kept watch there all through the hours of darkness, literally sleeping in the gateway into the corral. A wolf would have to walk right over the shepherd. Jesus calls himself the door of the sheep and says that whoever turns his way will be healed or saved or preserved from danger. That makes that wonderfully familiar image. The Lord is my shepherd, leading me to pastures richer than any ever seen in ancient Palestine, leading me, the sheep, to clean and abundant water along good roads, guiding me with his walking stick and keeping me safe. But Jesus uses another surprising image that gets missed in translation. He says, whoever enters by me, the gate or the door, will be saved or healed and will come in and go out and find pasture. And a bit later he says, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. The word for pasture in the ancient Greek means something more like spreading, like that vast green carpet you can find in the lowlands of northern Europe in the springtime. A rich lawn of grass and herbs, something that's only hinted at in the brief flush of growth in the Palestinian spring. Jesus' sheep pasture is a vision of rich and nourishing food without end. It's a vision of the Garden of Eden, which the children of Abraham have yearned for ever since they first arrived in that part of the world and discovered how hard it is to make a living off thin and rocky soil. Jesus is the gate through which his sheep move out into a world spread with abundance. And he says so directly, "I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." His people haven't known abundance. But that's a vision of what right relationship looks like. No one is in want. Everyone has enough to eat and enough for a feast. There's a similar image of what this shepherd does in the psalm for today. "You spread a table before me in the presence of my enemies, or in the face of those who wish me harm." It's another vision for abundance meant for human beings. It's the radical, overwhelming abundance that will put jealousy and enmity to rest, that will end the kind of striving that characterizes so much of human existence. In the presence of that kind of abundance, there will be no more war. "Whoever enters by me," says Jesus, "will come in and go out and find pasture." What do you find when you go out that door at the end of the Mass? Has your vision and understanding shifted enough so that you can see rich and spreading pasture? Does your heart sense abundance instead of scarcity? That's what this cathedral is for. You know something of the abundant, overwhelming love of God because you've been fed here. This table is meant to be a taste of that pasture, an assurance that the world that God has created is filled with the same kind of abundance. I know it happens here. A friend told me about coming here to learn about the table you spread in the face of the world's scarcity, the meal that's served to 100 or so every Friday. I've been told it's a 4-course meal, meant for everyone who's hungry. Children who come here alone just to eat, people who live on the road without a permanent home, anyone in need of rich pasture. This community is providing an antidote to thieves and bandits, to those who see the world as a scarce resource to be hoarded or hidden. This place, this corral, is meant to show people the gate and the widespread experience of abundance. We're here to taste the banquet, to hear and live the story of the one who calls us friend, even if the world would call us competitor or slave or enemy. Those are bandits' voices. We know the shepherd's voice, the one who calls us beloved friend. The early Christians described in that reading in Acts knew this kind of abundance. They shared what they had, and nobody went without. They ate in safety, as it says, with glad and generous hearts. Glad and generous hearts are the fruit of not being anxious or afraid. They're the fruit of knowing that there isn't just enough, but plenty. That's what abundance produces. You know something of the abundance here in this place. You're spreading rich and nutritious pasture in Haiti and at the school in Ramallah. The remarkable thing about this kind of pasture is that it expands as it's shared. There's always more abundance, like the feast for 5,000, made out of a little bit of bread and a few fish. The miracle of the spreading has something to do with how we see and how we respond. The pasture out there is meant for all God's children, not just those here this morning. Jesus said quite clearly that he has other flocks who haven't yet come into his corral, and that he's not going to leave them hungry either. What other flocks are out there in the streets of Paris? Est-ce qu'il parle français? Who's hungry? Who needs to find the safety of a home paddock? Those are the sheep he's still looking for. Those who know the voice of the shepherd and his abundant pasture are invited to share the work of the shepherd. Jesus' flocks are filled with shepherds who will sit in the gate, who will go out and lead others to find water and rich, spreading pasture. It's a gift that comes from having grazed here in this field. Rest here a while, and then go out through the gate and find the rich field and bring others with you. If they need a place to rest and heal, bring them here. The psalmist says, "You spread a table before me, and my cup is running over." Those who dwell in the house of the Lord forever don't stay in this place. They take it with them. They remain in relationship that says, "Be at peace. I am with you. There is nothing to fear." That's what we take with us when we go out through the door. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives. And surely, the shepherd sends us out into pastures of plenty, meant for all.